Hi, welcome to the Broken Not Broke interview, the leading podcast for families facing childhood cancer. I know this is a very difficult moment for you and your family. I've been there. But I can tell you the more information you know about organizations supporting families like yours, the journey can be a little bit easier. So today we're going to interview one organization that provides a very unique way of financial assistance to their families. We're also going to learn about what to do as soon as you receive the diagnosis. And we'll tell you more about our database, brokenNotbroke.org, where you can find in a matter of seconds organizations that support you financially everywhere in the country. So stay with us. Let's start with the interview. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Broken Not Broke interview. Today, we are honored to have with us Theresa Segui, who is the Executive Director of Ocean of Love. Ocean of Love is an organization in Ocean County, New Jersey, that has been done a tremendous job supporting families. She'll tell us more in a second about it, but I can tell you I'm very impressed about their programs to prevent housing insecurity, food insecurity, support with transportation. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I love what you're doing. And I think it's so needed what we're talking about and what you're working on and the program. I just think it's something that's long overdue. And I'm just very happy to work with you and to be able to collaborate on this and let people be more aware of what's going on.
Likewise, and I also should add, Teresa has personal experience in this topic. Let me ask the first question I ask all our guests is, tell us about the impact of childhood cancer in the finances and the financial stability of families.
I think for pediatric cancer specifically, I mean, obviously all cancers have an impact, but for pediatric cancer, one of the biggest things is the loss of income of a parent or the both parents during this time. And that's definitely obviously the biggest impact because you go from some are two income families and then you go to a no income. There's also a very big rise of single parent families. So if that mom or dad have to be with their child, they have no income. So that's a huge effect just from the start, not to mention many people are self-employed or work for places that don't have benefits or don't do any type of paid leave or even, a lot of people always quote the FMLA, which is awesome if you're available for that. Anyway, that's a lot of the loss of income, the job benefits are dwindling for a lot of employers. It's a high cost for companies. So many families have part-time jobs that don't provide benefits. So the medical is astronomical no matter what you have. And also the people not understanding that everybody has different health benefits. So it's not across the board where it's covered. Some people have very high out-of-pocket co-pays, co-insurance, deductibles. And one of the things that we talk about being in our area is most of the health insurance companies pick the Midwest or some other area for usual and customary expenses. When you're living in our area, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, we are not usually and customary. So only a percentage of, say, an MRI or a PET scan or even treatment is covered. And that already, again, that just adds to the financial impact on that family. Because you're thinking, oh, I have benefits. This should be great. And then you find out that, oh, they're using Indiana as a guideline, where it's a completely different market out here. And another misconception I think that we'd like to clear up is the length of treatment is extremely long. Like if you had to go out, lost your income for a month, you'll be able to rebound quicker. Most childhood cancer treatment is at least 6 months, many to 3 years is the standard treatment, especially for leukemia. And we've had kids that have been on treatment for 6 to 12 years. And that is a horrible impact on the family, financially and emotionally. But obviously, today we're discussing more financially. And also the hospital stays themselves. Sometimes as the child goes further in treatment, the body is weaker and they get spike fevers. And as many of our parents know, when your child spikes a fever, you're in the hospital and you don't get out until that child's counts rebound. So that hospital stay is also costly with food, parking, all of that increases. You have family at home that still needs to eat, siblings, childcare, all that is still going on while you're focusing on your child. We've talked about experimental in the past. Some families, we have a lot of rare cancers, so experimental drugs aren't always a part of treatment. So they have to fight with the insurance company to get some payment. And we've also had insurance companies tell people that it's not a medical necessity, according to them. So that's another thing where it's not covered. You're not going to not do it for your child. So it's yet another expense on top of everything. And also the medications that the children need. They're not always covered. And either they're not covered, or even if they are covered, they're extremely expensive. Some medications are $400 for one injection, and that's covered through insurance. That's the insurance payment that you have to come up with, and not, a lot of families struggle with that. So there's many different aspects that put families behind in financial issues. And also, it doesn't always come to you. We joke around about this all the time. It's not like you have savings in the bank of $80,000 to be like, oh, just in case my kid gets cancer. That's not how this works. Many times families are hit at a time where they're either unemployed or already behind on bills. They have childcare needs, they have a family that needs all that stuff. Your mortgage has to be paid, your rent, utilities, all of that still has to get paid while you're struggling and you have no income coming in. So that's many of the different reasons why the families are so impacted with childhood cancer.
Thank you again for the comprehensive view of how a family has to fight this financial shock. We love to hear about what Ocean of Love does, and
I would love to hear that.
yes,
As you were saying, I love how you say we're the easiest organization to get assistance from, because we are. We don't want being someone, and as you know, anyone who's been through it, there are so many hoops in a lot of places to try and get assistance. And then after you do like, pages and pages and the history and all this stuff, and then to get denied, you're like, oh my gosh, we don't want anyone to have that experience. So that's one of the things that I'm very proud of what we do in we offer financial and emotional support. That's where, we're more than just money going somewhere. And it's hard to put a dollar amount on the emotional, but I think that's a lot of what our families love the most. But our job is to ease the burden of the parents and the family. That's what we're here. We're a necessity organization. We want to make sure you have food, you have gas, your lights are on. That's what our biggest goal is. We want to really make sure that when you get referred to Ocean of Love, really it's your social worker, you sign a HIPAA form and you do an intake. That is it. You're automatically an Ocean of Love family. Very simple process. There's no application that you have to do. And the one thing I do have to say for us and for all of you is your social worker has to refer, we have to verify that your child has cancer. That's definitely one of the things. And that's, thankfully, we have a very good relationship with a lot of the hospitals. Social workers are very familiar with us. And we only deal with things that are a direct result of your child's diagnosis. Obviously, we're not a thing that can make everything magically disappear that's happened before, but we will help you through your child's treatment, through the entire treatment process. And again, we focus on necessities. We pay vendors direct. So we pay your utility bill directly to JCP&L, PSE&G, or whoever. We do all transportation costs. And that includes the gas to go in your car, all parking and tolls at the hospital. We take care of all of that. We never want food insecurity to be an issue, so they get grocery cards to make sure that there's always food on the table for themselves and the family, as well as helping while the family's at the hospital, because that's also one of the expenses that I mentioned before, is a lot of parents aren't included in food when you're at the hospital. So parents like to eat, just everyone. So, there's a DoorDash, some hospitals have a nice, coupon system. Others, you can do a DoorDash or, Uber Eats or something for that family. So we do that as well. We also help with household repairs. As mentioned earlier, the air conditioning or heating. We are very fortunate that we have wonderful service people that we deal with that can give us a discount on those services. And we also do family events because we want families to connect with others that are in the same situation. So we do a lot of game nights. We do outside events. We do events at the office. We are a little blue house on the corner. It's like coming to grandma's house. You can do play dates. We have arts and crafts. We have a whole gaming system room updated with all the latest and, Xbox, PlayStation, all of that, Nintendo Switch, because we want kids to have fun. That's what we're about. We're about having fun and forgetting what you're going through during this time. And the parents love coming here just for that. It's a separation of it's a place to come and kind of leave your worries behind. We do everything for you. That's what we're here for. And like I said, the best way I could say it is getting spoiled at grandma's is what we are. One of the things that I feel we do the best in is the emotional support, as I said, and we want to anticipate families' needs. One of the hardest things to do when you're going through this is to ask for something. It's us saying to you, here's your cards, here's your grocery store cards, here's your Target card. Those are the things that we don't want someone to be embarrassed to ask if they don't have food. So we kind of get to know the families definitely on a really individual basis because each family has specific needs. So we tailor what we do to their needs. And then unfortunately, obviously, the reality of what we do is that children do pass. So we help with funeral costs and, the repasses, and that is part of what Ocean of Love does.
Thank you, Teresa. And again, big fan of the organization, the way that you process the intake, so stress-free, so simple, and so important for families in this situation, but also the way that you and the team of Ocean of Love looks at the whole journey and finds so many ways to support the family in these very, very difficult moments. Based on your experience, what will be those changes that we need to see at the policy level, legislation, even systemic level that will make a difference in the financial toxicity that these families are experiencing?
One of the things, and I know we've discussed in the past, is health insurance needs a complete overhaul. And I know we don't have enough time to go into that, but one of the things I want to say about health insurance just in general is the policies need to change. I feel like because it hasn't changed in the 27 years I've been involved with health insurance, is the doctors need to be making the decisions, not the health insurance company. What happens with so many of the families is they pay it just because they need to. They take advantage of people in such a drained emotional state that it's like they won't fight because they have no energy left. And they're right. So many families have paid stuff that they shouldn't have had to just because they want it gone. And that is a huge thing. One of the things, financial literacy, I think, is extremely important for families. It's funny because when you go for transplant, they have an entire class on financial, whether or not you can survive the whole process, financially. Why do they not have that for pediatric cancer? Because that is even a much longer process. So I feel like that is something that on a hospital level or some type of level, again, cross country, because I've seen it in Philadelphia, I've seen it in Pennsylvania, I've seen it in New York for the organ transplants, but again, not once have I seen somebody say, hey, can you get through this as a family? And the social workers are doing an amazing job. They're overwhelmed. And one of the things I think is so, again, systemic, and we've discussed this too, accessibility for all families. Even you see it in your own town. For example, one town could have 6 families with cancer. There's that one family that gets every fundraiser, every GoFundMe, where other families don't get that. We've had a family that their child was on treatment for 12 years and never had a fundraiser. How is that possible? Where other families in their town got 6 of them. So that is a huge problem. Another more of like, we could do it statewide, townwide, nationwide. a collaboration with or partnership, however you want to word it, with utility, mortgage companies, auto companies, anyone that does loans for families like this. Most places have foundations. Most electric companies have an electric foundation. Why can't those foundations help these families? Either be it defer the cost or pay their bills for the 6 months of treatment. Something where the utility company sponsors events in the community. Don't do that. Help these families, or do both. Many people aren't aware. Some auto companies do deferred payment. They add it on the end until you're getting better. Mortgage companies, rental companies, all of that awareness, come up with a countrywide letter that says, like we were discussed this, here, my child is on treatment for this amount of years. Can you give me some type of break? These are things where if you look at their W-2 or W-4 from years ago, a lot of places look at the year before your child was diagnosed. Well, that's not really good because that year before I was doing great. Now, in this immediate moment, we don't have that money. That's something where a lot of foundations, a lot of companies look at your tax forms from a year ago. Well, that's not a relevant factor for you to decide what's happening now with these families. Again, be it a nationwide form that says, my child's on treatment, I can't work, my job doesn't pay this. And again, these companies, there's a lot of companies that do want to help. They came up with these foundations. They want to give back to the community. Many of them don't know where, who, what, and where the need is. And one of the things too is, even if it's medical bill forgiveness, if your child passes, after your child passes, one, funeral costs should be free or minimal, and medical bills should be forgiven. If that to me is one of the things, is after your child passes, you shouldn't have to deal with that. And then even interest rate forgiveness, the credit cards, if you could just knock down that family's credit card bill, those are all things, because you got the money for that item that they purchased. Now it's going to take them 20 years to pay off, their groceries. That's silly. That's not something that anyone should have to do. And again, they're doing the best they can with what they have and what's available to them. I just feel that addressing it as either, state level, nation level, however it is, I know that this problem isn't just in our little tri-state area. It's everywhere. And our families go for treatment nationwide. There's a lot of that is part of it. So we kind of need to collaborate more, compete less. Let's stop competing. Let's start collaborating and helping those that are truly in need. And I think that our families, the families that go through stuff like this are.
Well, all those points are essential and very insightful. Thank you so much. I have a lot of thoughts in my mind right now. One is this awareness aspect. I mean, the fact that it sounds that it's possible, it should be possible to make these companies aware of the dire situation a family is going through, and find a way to work with them. They collaborate more, compete less. It's music to our ears. That's what Broken Not Broke was trying to address since day one. Is like, well, we have all these great organizations. Let's find a way to connect. Anything else you want to share with us before we finish the interview?
No, I'm just grateful that this is finally the conversation that people are having. And if anyone wants to reach out to myself, they're more than welcome to at Ocean of Love. We are here for anybody, even informational wise. That's what we're here for. We're here to help families, and as easy as possible. We don't want to add any burden onto anybody else. We just want to help them, get them through it, and awareness, like I said, but thank you, Adrian. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I love everything that's going on, and it's been a pleasure working with you, and I can't wait to collaborate more.
Likewise, let me remind everyone, please visit the website oceanoflove.org. That's oceanoflove.org if you are seeking assistance, but also if you can donate and support the organization. I can assure you that those donations, that support, will make a huge difference in many families for a long time. Thank you again to Theresa Segui and her team, to everyone at Ocean of Love. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time. For the money insight of the day, it's important that you make a call to the insurance company as soon as you receive diagnosis of your child. I can tell you that I got the news very late in the ER about my son's cancer. Next day, very early, I called the insurance company. I asked about the coverage. It was the hospital in network or not, the doctor that was going to see us, the coverage for the surgery, the biopsy, all these things. Very difficult conversations, but it's very important to have them early as opposed to later when you receive a bill from the hospital. If you don't have insurance or you are not clear about the coverage, it's okay to talk to the hospital. There are social workers, there are financial experts, there are patient advocates. All of them can guide you through this very difficult moment. And if you need to change hospitals, clinics, or doctors, it's okay because the expenses are going to grow so fast, especially during treatments like chemo, radiation, surgeries, that you want to make sure that whatever you have is covered. So have these conversations early. Thank you so much for being with us today. Again, if you are looking for financial assistance, visit brokenNotbroke.org. You just have to write the type of cancer, the state where you are, and the type of financial assistance, and you're gonna get a guide, an updated guide of organizations across the country that can help you. You can also contact us through the website if you have questions about organizations like the ones that we have in the database. Thank you again. We'll see you next time. Find us in our socials. We're in LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, here in YouTube. Like, comment, and share with any family that you think could be benefited by this. Thank you to our producer, Vanessa Toro. See you next time.